Oh, now, ladies and gentlemen, never thought I would say this in 2 years since I last played this, but welcome to Imperator Rome here on the Lord Master channel. But this is a different kind of Imperator Rome game as compared to the old one that I used to play, which was largely vanilla anyway, even with a few mods. That is significant. But this one is significant. This isn't your, I was about to say Daddy's Imperator Rome, which is, you know, just one of those phrases. But it's a lot different than when I last played here 2 years ago. I mean, I understand that Paradox Interactive doesn't update the game anymore. And so it was up to the dedicated community to come up with some very, very interesting mods, including this one that stands the most. And that's going to be the name of the series, Imperator Rome Invictus, in which the other mods that I use besides Imperator Invictus is, you know, what else? The Navigatable Rivers for Invictus, Cultural Conflation for Invictus, Imperator Invictus more cultural names, the Skybox, Enhanced Terrain View, and Full Mechanical Overhaul, which is another thing that you should have to accompany this Overhaul mod of Imperator Invictus. But now, what's new on this current version is version 1.5 Dies Natalis. Give me a drink so I can read more. So yeah, this mod has been around for a while, which I was only barely aware of that a few months ago. And now I decided to come here because the new version came out a month before this very recording that we're on here. And as you can see, the new mission trees here. So yes, a bunch of countries have their own mission trees now besides the one that they usually have, like Rome, Carthage, Athens, Sparta, Syracuse, and all that. And now they have one of these mission trees, such as the large tree for Sogdia, including mechanics, large trees for Aeropatene, Zangzor, Persis, Teveria, and a large tree for Neuralgics after unifying the Mediterranean islands such as Gemesia or Sardinia. A large tree for Samaria, reworked version of the Judean tree, so it's custom favor. 2 Roman trees for conquering Rhaetia and Pannonia. A regional unification tree for Cretans, Corcyra, Gymnasians, which is the Balearic Islands, and Sardinians as well. And they just recently, as the map changes goes, they expanded the map into Burma with full graphics now, and added the pool culture group and custom scene models for that said culture. And zoomed out map that the lakes look better and the Maldives now show up as actual islands. And of course, I mean, I don't have to read all of this because this series that I'm going to be doing on is just rather something that I had a bit of practice with. Again, all these new features, which is just huge. And even if you were to look at the older versions, like if you were to go check its changed notes on its Steam Workshop page of this mod, they've added a lot of things there. Too many for me to even count or even mention, in fact. Otherwise, it's just going to take so much of that video time. But you can just read along the rest here as I will tell you what my intentions are for this time. And of course, they ought to fix bugs for all this, because you add so many things and then there's bound to be bugs, so they have to fix all these sort of things. So there you have it. So let's just go to single player since it's been 5 minutes and start a new game here. I mean, it's not the first time I actually played a mod. I mean, back in November I actually played it and I had thought about recording it, but I just didn't have time because that's when I got into the Crusader Kings 3 with the Norse series that I've been doing as of late and still ongoing. It's just I needed something to be concurrent with. So yes, now you have nations with missions. So besides some of the ones that I've mentioned. And it's a wonder how I used to play as Thebes, one of those countries, and yet the difficulty, it says, was very hard. Well, when I did it back then, I was, sorry, even though this was before the Marius update of that time. The last big update for Imperator before they kind of stopped doing that 2 years ago. So this was before that, so I'm sure it's very hard to play as Thebes now, like back in my time. And Massalia was another country that I used to play as, and it's considered normal now. And even I remembered contemplating on playing as Athens long ago, but I would say, no, that's gonna be a whole story for another time, because there's someone else that I'm particularly interested in. And over in Northern Europe, you got these countries that has missions now, as you can see them highlighted, which I don't have to read you all of this. And of course, oh yeah, and they expanded a bit more of Northern Africa besides the whole coast. Based on my experience, you know, fighting against, you know, nations like Carthage on their coast that I did way back when. Yes, they have missions for that nation. And those out there as well. And of course a bunch of Asian ones. Most notably the Antagonids and Seleucids. Bithynia's way over there. Rhodes, we know that one. And of course Judea's got one, so is Samaria, which we mentioned that before. Bactria was considered one of my first choices of what should I play as with the update of the recent mod. But I'm particularly interested in Sogdia, and of course I know some of you are thinking, for those who watched many of my playthroughs here on the Lord Master channel, how I played as Sogdians pretty often. 2 times in Crusader Kings 2, 1 time in Crusader Kings 3, and then I thought, well, why not? We should play as the Sogdians. I mean, it says very hard difficulty. Well, if it was very hard for Thebes, I'm sure it'll be just as difficult with Sogdia. It's just you gotta play your cards right. Much like I did with Thebes back then. Now, before I will play as Sogdia, which is going to be the series for this time, and down in the subcontinent, you got the very large Mauryan Empire, Anuradhapura as well. 3 crowned kings of Tamilakam, they got their own missions too. So is Kalinga and Zhangzhuang, that Tibetan power over there. So for this series, it's going to be all about the Sogdians, which is led by this man, Ramtish. And knowing that they start off with only 2 personality traits at this age, as he's 28. Unfortunately, he's lazy, but he's also ambitious. Can you imagine that? A man is like, he's got great and ambitious ideas, but He's too lazy to do them. But hey, sometimes it's a bit randomized, so take what you can get. So 5 martial, 8 charisma, 8 finesse, 5 zeal. And also, mind you, Sogdia's up there, even though in actuality, Sogdia Proper is over there. And I'm sure you're wondering, what are they doing up there? Well, it kind of explains regarding the Sogdian heritage, and even says it here. The Sogdian people were the result of many migrations and mixtures of migrating Iranian steppe tribes and the locally grown members of the post-Bactria Margiana civilization, which had flourished during the Bronze Age. They were conquered by the Achaemenids and were likely ruled from the capital of the Bactrian Satrapy, but maintained an inherently steppe warlike posture and found freedom during the weak rule of Artaxerxes. Which one, to be exact? These people were both warriors and merchants, making the beginnings of the Silk Road through trading hubs, such as what would become the well-known Samarkand. And before becoming embroiled in the wars of the Diadochi, the last great moment in their land was at the battle at the Sogdian Rock, a fortress marvelly held by all the Greeks of the army of Alexander. That happened during that Bactrian Sogdian revolt against Alexander from 329 through 327 BC. And since the game starts in 304 BC, so obviously this man here who's 28 is likely too young to even remember those events. So we start off as an autocratic monarchy. We're not a republic nor tribal, just a monarchy. And the religion is not Zoroastrianism, despite the fact it's kind of widespread within the Sogdian culture, but in the northernmost territories they tend to be ritualistic, which is represented in the variety of localized faiths and folk traditions. Ritualism espouses ancestor worship, animism, and votive offerings. So you could say they're technically pagan, even though paganism was common in most areas at that time. You're just using medieval terms, something that doesn't exist yet. Break that habit of yours. So let's get started, even though it makes me want to say, also keep in mind, if you were to change the difficulty, I think it would make things easier for you, for the modifiers and all that, but many of my past playthroughs are always normal, so I'm going to leave it normal. When I played as Thieves back then, they tell me it was very hard, yet I pulled it off, even though the game was different back then. But now, here is very hard for Sogdia, for a different reason, and hopefully I will try to be savvy for certain things. And yeah, we're going to leave the new Diadochi CB mechanics, but you can disable for vanilla experience, but this is barely vanilla anymore since this is the Overhaul Mod. So it's been nearly 14 minutes, so let's get started finally. Also, god blasted mouse wheel of mine, where if you try to zoom back, it zooms back in. How that mouse of mine is. Let me take a drink first. So these, yeah, here's the province map modes. I run Talas, Chach, and Lower Jaxartia, which Jaxartia is the name of that river, the River Jaxartes, known today as the Sirdia. Compare that to the Oxus down there, the River Oxus, which is known today as the Amudaya, using native names. And this is what Sogdiana region looks like as a whole. This is how much land that we are supposed to liberate back, which is, the main goal for this series. It's the liberation of Sogdiana from Bactria and others, including how do we best these extremely dangerous Scythian tribes to our west. And yet when we look eastward, you can see that there are smaller entities, like Sho, Kucha, Khotan, those are the Tarn Basin. Of course, they mentioned Burma, so there's a bit of that, as you can see out there. So now, here says here is what this series is going to be about, and this is also going to be the name of this episode, 10,000 Hooves. So here's the story here. Long ago, the people of Sogdia lived their lives unencumbered by entanglements of others. This was in the period before the Achaemenids, led by Cyrus, conquered our lands and partitioned our borders into the nebulous state that they remained in for centuries. The Persians and now the Greeks have entangled our fortunes with that of the Bactrians to our south, who have displaced us from our ancestral homes and bully us from their cities along the Oxus. Our independence from them is a recent thing. For years we were ruled as satraps of the Bactrians, who in turn were ruled by others, reducing us to the servants of servants. But we are slaves no more, although whether or not we will be able to keep this freedom is an open question. So the completion criteria, as I said, this is going to be the major goal of this series. This mission will be completed when Sogdia has conquered some of its historic territory, secured the northern trade routes, and has established itself as a mighty economic power. And keep in mind, the Sogdians, for some of you people that have watched my past series whenever I played as that culture, they were best known as the middlemen of the Silk Road during the late antiquity and the early Middle Ages, especially during their peak back in the 6th century to the 8th century. 6 to 8 centuries AD, mind you. So I would say this is long before the Silk Road was opened up. So let's begin here. And what will happen is that Semtish will become friends with Apama Spitaminid. Apama is actually the wife of the Seleucid ruler, Seleucus Nekator. This is her. He's 54 in perfect health. She's 38 and in perfect health. So this is who I'm going to become friends with. She's a Sogdian, which is due to the practice that these Greeks, which started by Alexander the Great, that he encouraged his, I was about to say companions, but his men, mostly soldiers and later successors, to marry Sogdian women. For whatever reason, even though Alexander himself was married to a Bactrian Sogdian. I mean, it's debated whether she's Bactrian or Sogdian, by the name of Roxana, who is the one that bore him a child, Alexander IV. And we know how that turned up. So now Semtish becomes friends with her due to, connections. But it'll explain here. And now we stand at a crossroad. Although our people once lived in the farmlands and hills to the south, circumstances has forced us farther and farther north, with the cold mountains of Barskan now being our home. A situation that no one is happy with. Our people, even though they wander the edges of civilization in a semi-nomadic state, dream of ruling a vast empire that will allow them to indulge in their first love, trading and making money. Even now, there are ambitious leaders among us who hope to bring better days to the Sogdian people. May the sound of 10,000 hooves, our dreaded horse archers, and heavy cavalry, echoing through the mountain valleys, lead our forces to victory. May the gods guide us in what we hope to achieve. With that, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to make history, even though there's still a lot more work to do. there's actually, let me zoom out a bit, there's a lot more than that. The amount of missions that you gotta do. And you can complete a mission once you need to complete the Apotheosis of Sogdia, way down there. So we have a lot of work to do for this series. So let me drink again. So, our side of the Jaxartes River. Second tribesmen have crossed our side of the Jaxartes River, taking over the low lowland plains, and even occupying parts of the northern mountain passes. We should consider pushing them back to where they came from. Which, of course, it takes 60 days to complete, and if you got the requirements of political influence and gold, you got them. But you got to spend them in order to get it done, after the past 60 days. And the other way is the road to Maracanda. In Achaemenid times, our lands and those of the Bactrians were governed by the same satrap, and our countrymen freely traveled across the borders. Because of this, our people have a desire to reclaim the area to the south, particularly the city of Maracanda. So you've been saying the gateway to Sogdiana would be better administered by a Sogdian king rather than a Bactrian governor. But of course, we use the term Bactrian as a nationality, as we know that this man, Invictus, a Macedonian, is the satrap of Bactria, as he's the satrapy of the Seleucids. I mean, they do have their own mission trees as well, which does involve their own brand of war of independence that they would like to break out of them one day, but not right now, for them at least. Whereas we are independent, but weak. So you need allies for this. And before we get down to those missions, let's get started with these ideas. Obviously, navies is not a priority, even though there is a major river where you can build ports there, even though you're basically a flotilla if you're going to establish a navy out there. Even though it is possible to send your ships through the river tributaries, and yes, you can go all the way to the Opontus Sea theory, but that's not going to be, the point of that series. So we'll have a martial ethos, ensuring that our soldiers and veterans hold a prestigious place in our social hierarchy is key to their contentment and loyalty. Now for civic, since we don't make that much money, so we're going to go for complex tariffs. Whilst a simple tax on goods passing through our territory may be popular, a complex system will allow us to maximize revenue. So this will help with the national commerce income. Well, that other thing we did there, that's for morale of armies up, so they can last long in a fight. Regarding civilization, I forget, what does this do again? If your civilization value goes up, that would have more population growth, capacity up, supply limit, reduce the chances of barbarian growth, happiness, and all that. And I can gain the popularity whenever I wish to, which it would be best if you were to go out and fight a war and lead your levies to battle, and if you win, you gain some popularity. So we'll go for state religion. Incorporating our faith and state entity will have significant political advantages. And now you have the bonus active of national slave output. And I forget to point out that the Sogdian heritage of ours, the fort defense is plus 20, while national commerce income up plus 10. Of course, people of trade. But there is a major flaw of being a Sogdian, Your diplomatic relations is -2. Which means no matter who you're with, that's too many relations that they would tell you. And of course, need to import a few things. But our military, we have light cavalry, horse archers, heavy cavalry, and some archers. But it should be noted that in our Sogdian culture, it's a member of the Bactria culture group, which pops belonging to this culture can raise the following levies: 5% heavy cavalry, 5% war elephants, which we don't have any obviously, 15% heavy infantry, 15% horse archers, 15% light cavalry, 50% spearmen, and 35% archers. So archers and various types of cavalry are the most likely things you would see in the Sogdian army. And it's 8 cohorts is what we have. So as a reminder here, for those who haven't watched Imperator in a long time in my channel, levies are raised from governorships and are composed of subunits. Well, that's what they are. Appropriate to the culture of the pops within them. A governorship with a large Scythian population, for example, may raise a significant number of cavalry units. That's why I said we ought to watch out for those to our west. Levies can only be raised from integrated cultures, however, so consider this when planning your military capability. Levied pops will not produce flat resources while they are raised. Going to war can be a costly affair. Additionally, when a levied subunit is destroyed in combat or overrun, there is a chance that an associated pop will too be damaged to recover and be destroyed. That's the danger of fighting with levies. And if you want with that, you need legions, but obviously you gotta have the correct laws. And then you will be able to raise legions from the various regions under your control. Unlike levies, legions allow you much greater control over the composition of your army units and can benefit from the use of siege engineers, highly specialized infantry, capable of bringing fortresses and city walls to ruins in short order. Legions also have a series of sub-commanders which take to the field in the event that a legion is split into multiple units. They are capable of earning distinctions or dishonors based upon the conduct of battle, as well as tracking their various achievements and conquests over the course of campaign. And if you wish to have legions, you've got to have Royal Guard, which you need to be of 2 things. 1, you got to be of a regional power status, and also plenty of political influence and some stability. You got to go along with it because it's going to cost you. And when you have that active, you get discipline up, and while reducing the levy size. So that would be ideal in a long run. But now, speaking of discipline, this is going to be a bit of a stupid idea on my end, but I am going to spend all these innovations on military because this is the only thing that we need to be. We are a small country, and we need to expand to ensure the survival of our culture. So military artisans, so you get 1 free province investment. Guilds of artisans employed by the military ensure that innovation is passed on by those deserving, and provide a hotbed of scholarly thought which our progress flourishes. Now, basic training. Providing new recruits with the most basic training may at least let them survive in the first few weeks. That's their starting experience. Active drill. This is for discipline. Armies in the field would benefit from continued drill, even up to the very eve of battle. Discipline is very important, because when you have a morale of armies, that's for them to last long in a fight. Discipline is the one that does the damage. Now professional training. By relying on our most skilled tutors, we cut down on the time it takes to produce adequately for the fighting men. That's where experience decay lowered. Discipline up more. Worry about these advances later, which would be future episodes, of course. Since we are cavalry intensive, I'd like to import the steppe horses. 1 for population output, and 2, which the entire country gets followed by horse archer discipline plus 10. So now these horse archers are to be the deadliest in our arsenal. This is not really good choices of the pantheon deities that we have here. I mean, noble happiness is nice, you know, but morale of navies, we don't need that. I mean, I could change it, but it's going to cost you some stability for that, and you need stability. If I had my way, I would go for either this or this. Likely this, for future reference. National tax is always good. Guidance of the moon. Which monthly civilization, that's just, you know, whatever to me. Huh. That one I would leave. So it's split between the heptatic and ritualistic. So if I were to call down the Omen, the only best thing I could do for it is to add a bit more civilization here. So I know exactly where we're going with this. Start off with this. So it'll take you 60 days to complete it, as you'll be spending your political influence and some gold for it, in which we would have the claim on Sogdiana province itself. So let's start with this. So we'll begin a series of that. I'm going to make 2 alliances here. Avangia. And look, already. Too many relations. And Shul over there, also known as Kashgar. They also say too many relations. Also a different culture group. Right. After 33 minutes we finally get this playthrough moving, but it's only because it's taken a few days. Actually, one more thing. I forgot to introduce two. These are the prominent families here in this room. The Oxians, the Wahagians. That's how you pronounce it in the Sogdian language, with the X in the middle. You pronounce it with H. And the Viran. One for them. And my wife was pregnant at the very beginning. She is merciful and narrow-minded. There's so many things for me to check on. Again, it's been 2 years since I last played it, and I had some prior practice beforehand, so I probably am. So it should be alright. Some of our military advisors are terrified at the prospect of waging war against the Bactrians and have done everything they can to undermine public confidence in the initiatives being proposed. The fact that has enraged Ramtish who has publicly shamed them, accusing them of being spies and ordering them to join the women at their weaving. While some thought this to be a hyperbole, Ramtish was deadly serious, and many were shocked to find armed guards at their doorsteps after raising their concerns in the war councils, forced to strip their finery to don the garments of a slave worker. These objectors were then sent to sew war tents under the threat of execution for treason. You cowards are not fit to offer opinions to real warriors. So, there you go. But we're not going straight for Americanda now. Going to war against Bactria, I mean, look at the countryside. The size. That would be suicide. You know, our levies versus God knows how many levies are there. But instead, we should turn to the valley where the two rivers meet. We would love nothing more to extend our domain into the beautiful Fergana Valley. But in order to do so, we must first prepare our claims and gather our forces together. That would be the best course of action, which means we'll spend more political influence and the gold again. And it will have a claim on Fergana and Kirapolis. Take those two and it will be part of Sogdia. There is a significant population down there, knowing how fertile the Fergana Valley is. So it'll take you another 60 days. Because look up here. It is under the control of Ionian Greeks. Ionians are the ones that have been there before Alexander came, which is due to back in the Achaemenid Empire by Darius, that he actually expelled the Ionians who revolted against him and sent them to Bactria. And they lived there. And some of them ended up here in Fergana. And this man's being one of them. So, that's the reason why it's a valuable target to us, Fergana. There's a city there of 46 pump, 21 on this one, and the city of Alexandria Excate. This is significant to us, because 1, it's a level 1 regional center of trade, and 2, it's in Alexandria, because this territory was founded by Alexander the Great with the intention of solidifying the hold of Hellenic culture over the entire region. He also went to great lengths to plan and fund the infrastructure to support a great city in the future. So there's more civilization and slightly higher population capacity. I mean, obviously more population than this city we live in this poor state of affairs that we're all in. And expanding down there would no doubt increase the size of our levies. If you decide to integrate the local cultures there. And when you integrate them, they'll join up to the levy force. Yes. So again, it'll be another 60 days before we can make this official. You sure you don't want an alliance with us? I know, I wish I could, you know, improve relations, but that's going to take quite a bit of time. Not to mention money. During wartime, you can get all the money from them. You'll be fine. Prove their opinion plus 50 overtime. And we need this much. But there are alternate ways. We have that neutral stance. Oh no, you can't. As much as I would like to. And plus we're about to spend it again for the claim on Fergana. I'm about to spend more gold afterwards. Well, at least we have you. I would like to have them on our side. Screw it. Should be kept well in mind that there's nothing currently modifying the import and export value. They just expanded slightly into shore, I just noticed that. Anyone that lives within a month's journey of the Fergana Valley is acquainted with the region's exports. Not only do they grow good grain in their farmlands, which is a rarity in this far north, but they're also said to have excellent horses. We have no qualms about expanding to this area, even if its inhabitants are loath to leave their mountain villages. Prepare our men for the battles ahead. They will be fiercely contested. So, once we acquire Fergana, especially in this piece of territory of Azula, don't worry, we got it all figured out too. Which all we're trying to do is improve relations with you. But yes, I know we have too many relations, and you won't accept that. I mean, he doesn't have any allies either. And of course they would aid us, but who knows? Since they have a larger... Well, actually, let's compare populations. Yep, they have way more than us, so that means they likely have more levies to provide. We cannot read the amount of money or manpower that they have, because we're unable to see it without a spy present. Speaking of which... Spies, you say? I'm looking. If there is something like that, either that I'm, you know, crazy. Unless you want to look at the characters of the realm. That's another thing you should look at. But I also noticed that they're on the verge of a possible civil war. We hold 23 territories. A little expansion will make us a regional power, which would be very, very beneficial to us. Let me think about it in a few months. Maybe trade relations would be beneficial. Nice business investment. Since we have one free province modifier, might as well do that. So it's like maybe we ought to establish trade relations with them, if we can. We do not want to rush into things. We've got to be patient. I mean, obviously it's going to take a long while, but there's got to be a better way. We're on a neutral stance, so we have more diplomatic relations, but that's... Well, they already said that's too many. Yes, there's ruler corruption. That's because I'm siphoning funds. It's for my own personal wealth. Sometimes you need personal funds for whatever you may need. I was about to say, hey, you got anything good to trade there? Abundant produce. The provincial officials of Lower Sogdia report that the district has seen unprecedented harvest this year, with great jubilations for the ancestors being held at settlements large and small. These extra, unexpected revenues could help bolster the food reserves of the province. Then again, such a gift from the gods surely intend to benefit the entire Sogdian people. One second. Ah, they'll be fine. Need a popularity, so we'll shower the people of Vaxgon with bread. They may not like that move, but they'll get over it. Plus a little bit of tyranny don't hurt nobody. The children are born here. Daughter, and I have a son. Here's an old school name. Artaxerxes he shall be. Gotta watch out for pretenders. That's another thing about that. Actually, we're declining that offer because we plan on going to war with you soon, so it won't matter. We encouraged merchants in the province of Talos to invest more of their wealth in trade, reassuring them of the security of their outlays. The movement of goods benefits all. There. I don't suppose you have anything fancy to trade, do you? Look for anything that has shoal on it. Not here. That's the symbol you're supposed to look for. I know there are those that will not give up their I think having a bit more furs would be good, because do you know why? No, that's not the one you're looking for. Damn. I was gonna import the wild game because Archer discipline. Have one livestock. Prop promotion speed versus hemp. And this will ship them. Okay. Livestock it is. Important source of food, yes, I get it. I mean, look, we don't have enough freemen or citizens here, so some populous promotion would do them some good. Common threat. against Taiwan, right? Plus, they may be on the verge of civil war, so maybe we should wait a little while longer. See if they would break out. But if they do, we'll take advantage of the chaos. And of course, that means you gotta take care of another damn fort out there. Actually, no, they stopped. Okay then. Fine. What are you afraid of? Plus, we got most of the manpower reserves. Here's another trick up that sleeve. Since the Sogdian culture is the only integrated culture, that their happiness would go down a little, as I will increase the pay, which would up our morale of armies a bit, because you got to take every little advantage you get. Plus, it doesn't add up the expenses because we have no legions. So we have no choice but to go to war for Fagana, as this what that first episode would be about. Yeah, there is a way there. But keep in mind, who knows how much they have down there, but we'll guard the compass, yeah. Since their capital's back there, so let's meet up here. If they go this way, then we may be in trouble. Eight. That's how much they're bringing. 8,000. 16 cohorts. But fortunately, the one who's leading them has very low martial. Oh, I forgot something. I forgot something very important. I just reminded myself. Character focus. This is, you know, similar to Crusader Kings 3. It's from one of those mods. What's the name of that mod again? Because this is another thing that you got to have along with Imperator Invictus. Full mechanical overhaul. This is a part of it. Character focus. Every month a ruler nation will gain 2 character experience. More can be gained from events and other actions. So let's have a martial focus, but pick 4. Prowess, strategy, siegecraft, and martial. I would go for strategy, because I think Ramtish is a man of strategy since he's pretty ambitious. So these are the things that you would get from this tree. Gain a veteran warrior trait by the end of all this. How? I forgot about that. Treasury of Bahuman. Oh, yeah. It seems that Bahuman has gotten his hands on a lot of wealth as he started investing a great deal of silver to building a reputation for himself lately. Though it is unclear where he found these riches, those efforts are surprisingly effective. With his increased popularity, he started vying for a more powerful position at Sogdia, shamelessly comparing himself to our king, Ramtish. Ah, hell. He will quiet down in time, hopefully. Master of the Guard. and a high priest are disloyal because pretenders support mainly. Come on, hurry up, get together. Gotta guard this mountain pass here, and there's a river crossing, so we could definitely beat them on the ground. So we'll hold here until you get here. So now I have a marshal of 6 instead of 5. Unfortunately, the ruler of Taiwan has very low marshals, so he's not a military man by any stretch of the imagination, but he has to lead his levies because that's how it works around here. Well, we have no line of sight of them. There they are. They're coming. It's very likely our side will win because our commander has 6 martial while theirs only has 2. Our army has better quality than theirs. The terrain is to our benefit as we have the mountains. They may have a stronger army in terms of size, but they're going to be crossing a river and zoom in a little here. They'll be crossing the river and fighting in the mountains here. Even though it should be noted we're mainly a cavalry force, which isn't good for mountain warfare. Why the hell you stopped? Get over here. It's too bad you can't, tell your allies to say, hey, stick with us, other than have the attachments allowed. And that's pretty much it. But our best strategy is deception, which counters against skirmishing and ship excesses. But if they choose development and hit and run, we're screwed. But we have the high ground. So let us see. When does the battle begin? A few days. Are you still coming down? Yes, you are. You will arrive there on 7th May. God dang it, the battle will be over by then before we can get reinforced by our allies. So we'll do what we can here. Horse archers on our flanks. Cavalry back. Our cohorts is light infantry. But keep in mind, there's other levies out there, but they're smaller. Because they come from Himalaya, this is Sogdiana, so there's 2 different levy forces out there. So they went for deception as well. So, for future reference, switch to envelopment. We're losing this one. It would have helped have you got over here. We're retreating all the way to there. Our side might win. Switch that for reference. It's just there was too many of them. Kind of dug it. You had the same idea. Our allies should win this one. There is a reason why I want Shul on our side, but unfortunately they're at war with Kucha and Pishan on two separate wars, so they're not that entirely useful at this. Question of competence. After weeks of nervous looks and smirks at court, whispers circulating the palace had finally reached the ears of the king. Seeing that someone's been spreading rumors and spinning yards of his unequal processly and unfinished with his own. The damage has been done, and now we'll look at how the king will deal with this situation. Perhaps we can help guide him. 50% chance that I will lose popularity, or 50% chance I will lose the negative trait. But you better get rid of lazy. And he lost lazy. Okay, good. Now his marshals improved. Perhaps I could turn things around. And also get him off our capital. Gonna have to speed things up a bit. It's taking a long time for it to retreat all the way over there while he go deal with them. Second insult. A few months passed since he came into Taisango. The first time we heard about his insults to our rulership of Sogdia. You know, a large gathering of one of his villages just outside of Parskan. He has apparently compared Ramtish to an incapable farm animal and called the city of Baskan a ruined husk of a capital. Let's see if he prefers the dungeon. Bastard. This is just a minor character. It's from a different Helldo. Where the hell are you going? Our capital's being besieged, and if you don't stop them, then we're gonna have problems. Go. Scare them off. Ramtish, for reasons known only to us, has begun to view Taxoxine with jealousy and distrust. Even having them in the same rooms as another is bound to result in hostility. You know he's the head of the family, so it's not good to have a rival with the family head. I need more political influence for this. So, of course, sacrifice popularity for political influence. Okay, you scared him away temporarily. My consort, Koshana, today approached the core of an interesting proposal. Namely, that given the worrying war we find ourselves in, her own martial prowess and the personal leadership of an army skilled by King Ramtish, she accompanied the king and his army to battle. The consort is passionately convinced that her presence will bolster the spirits of the fighting men, as well as her king. That the royal family must defend the country regardless of their position. If needs must, she could quite capably command a flank. Of course she will join the king. As long as King Ramtish remains general, Koshana will accompany him in battle. Crisis in Taiwan. The recent death of the Taiwan rulers caused a great deal of political disturbance in the country. Eager to take advantage of this situation, numerous lackeys, pretenders, and legitimate claimants to the throne have risen up to bear arms as a newly crowned Maslas Pelopidas. As the nation of Taiwan is of interest to us, that we can exert certain influence over the more routed pretenders and hope to plunge their nation to further turmoil. While they're at war at the moment, our side will lose because it turns to their benefit. Are you sure? Tell you what, this is ours. You got him. So that's kind of deceiving because we have a fortress up there. So we took them out. Unfortunately, we're starting out here, so we gotta return to friendly territory because we need to gather food for our troops here. Vajravahu, they deify the living god and the spirit of the nation. Surely breathes, bleeds, and dies just as anyone. This is a scheme to promulgate the influence of Maurya, bereft of dignity. Follows the old god. The wisdom of Vajravahu may strike back. A giant. They deified him. Almost as if he's one of those giant saints down there. We'll be getting some of that food back. But it would be grand to head over there and take that city. And we'll be on our way to Fergana. There, now you're with us. Combined strength. Strength in numbers. In a daring display of heroic valor. Armman has managed to escape his captors and flee to the cursed lands of Bohemia. That's far! Presumably aided by his friends' support, he also vowed to return in great numbers and has claimed a part of our territory as his own. Damnation. You know, they're too far from any contact, so you should be fine. Of vengeance. Let the men roam freely. Oh, I love he does this worse. It's Marshal 1. But he's got a lot of cohorts, so do not underestimate him. I'll go for that city as well. They'll have it back. And I know what he's doing. Oh, wait a minute. No wonder. 5 years old. A child ruler's leading the army. Heading for our capital now, and we're going to go in after them together. And after, when their army is defeated, then we'll go straight for the capital. Our troubled neighbor Massagueti started investing a lot of their treasure to opening up our borders between our two nations. Hopefully this will prove beneficial to us as well, though their tribes are somewhat more unruly than we are used to. We should keep Massagueti in mind as they can prove good friends in the future as well. Surely only good things can come of this. Let's hope this friendship will be worth it. Even though they're currently at war with Coasmia, which concerns me. In fact, they're about to win it. They're going to expand big one time. high priest made it clear the priesthood could no longer tolerate Samtish's godless impiety. Without the support of the priesthood, the people will start to believe that Samtish does not have the support of the gods, which would harm our legitimacy. All that money that we got from looting. Make a large donation to the priesthood. Ah, damn it. Picked a bad tactic for this. Don't worry, we got him. To counter against shock action. To counter against that, you gotta go for bottleneck. You know, that's not really, you know, how we operate, but we must do it. Overtake it by smothering intense pressure. Samtish is sunk into a downward spiral from which we are worried he'll never return. We can only pray that fate smiles kindly upon him. He's a bit depressed. What else? What else? For reference. Lazy like me. Head down there. We're gonna take for Ghana. And that'll be final. Here's your marshmallow. Loyalty and respect. You gained some popularity and some prestige. They managed to escape. Now we're going to besiege this capital, which will take a while, but now it's a race against time, you know. Shouldn't be this way. It would have been easier had Shul stuck with us, which they are now. For now. They're gonna go scare him off. But we got it. Persian family. Fair game. Okay, we got this. Don't think it'll be wise to fight against them now. But the morale is low, so we should be alright. Pick deception. You haven't eliminated all their troops, but that will no doubt send a message. They built another fortress. Now take care of this. Neighbors' wonder is the object of envy in all our populace. The people speak of the superiority of Bactria. Dangerous talk. We would do well to heed the mood of the people and refocus their efforts on creating our own monumental work. Or if all else fails, we could always take Alexandria, neighbor, instead. I'm pretty sure that belongs to us. So we have a claim on that, but we're not going to implement that, obviously. Hold it right there. A date going up the mountain, because we might engage them up there. The Council of Bards kind of taken upon themselves to free a sizable quantity of privately owned slaves. We could intervene if we think it best. Letting slaves get too comfortable could have repercussions. For freedom. No, they're retreating all the way. Turn around. Fleeing the dreadful war with Goma. A number of important dignitaries have managed to escape our lands, hoping to find refuge. Our advisors recommend again the asylum due to the fragile political circumstances in our region, and indeed, much favor may be gained for Gomo if we were to finish the job for them. Gomo defeated Kucha. That's what happened recently. Well, welcome. Tax collector murdered. Ramtish, we were sorry to inform you that one of our tax collectors named Hastagabada was found stabbed to death in the streets of Aska. Everyone claims that Hastaga was known to have sticky fingers and skimmed much more off the top himself than he should have. While this might be true, was the man deserving such a violent death? Now the locals are refusing to tell us who is responsible for the crime. Even though our soldiers have been threatening them if they don't speak. This does not bode well. Damn it. And Kharasmia has won this battle. So now they control that part of Scythia. Keep that up. So we'll just take this here then, and then boom. We have the high ground. Although we would also like to take this part of Shul as well. That'd be very beneficial to us. Antigono's death has combined recent setbacks, fractured the stability of the Cyclops kingdom. However, his heir and co-king Demetrios vowed to hold the kingdom together, despite the defection of local governments to the neighboring Diadokia and crumbling exporting his remaining holdings. Fortune is a fickle friend. We got them all. Starving a little, but it'll be worth it. You know, this was a costly affair. Don't kill our local Sogdians, these are our people. Now head to there. I want this one. Our in fine display of financial acumen has made significant alterations to the national budget. We should expect to see much better revenue this year. Excellent. Every little bit helps with the national tax. Yes, I know the war has gone long, but do not worry. We will take this one last fortress. This part here of Himalaya will be ours. That's what we desire. We plan on annexing the country whole. What is Shore-Pyrenean War? Trying to expand to there. With friends like these. Khwarezmian Revolt. Again, had Shul joined that war with us early on, it would have been much more beneficial where these horses would have diverted towards Kashgar, and we would have come in there and then take it, and we would have a minimum loss of life. But it's not to be. We just have to take this damn thing and then get out of this situation for good. But our allies are still doing well. So let's call for peace finally. For Ghana, so has got the, and I guess that too. Yes, you got all that. Sheesh. And this will make us a regional power. So Sogdia is now a regional power instead of a local power. So now you can guarantee other countries, can threaten war, can have alliances. This reduces the build cost, integrate cultural happiness up, capital import amounts up a bit, diplomatic relations up more importantly. But so is the monthly political influence. And the war score costs reduced. Well, more importantly, increases the diplomatic range. But unfortunately, you can also increase threshold of civil war if you got a bunch of disloyal characters. So please, let the madness end. We gained plenty of military experience here. This would continue with that war exhaustion. So now we got Himalaya, which there's no governor at the moment, so that's the reason why I wanted that part as well. It's just more levies to provide. Even though we tried our best, but the war shouldn't have gone that long. But it did. What's the matter? Since I got so much gold, I have no idea what to do with. Hey, let's improve relations. You will give us your horses. Now, who's gonna be governor? Actually, hold that thought. Because I forget there's this other event, which is what happens when you become a regional power. Sogdian fortunes are rising. Over time, our kingdom has achieved both greater wealth and power. Traditionally, we relied on the ability, valor, and dignity of our ancient and honorable families. But with rising fortune, there is also ample opportunity for new men of quality to rise beyond their birthright. Some families have, to a greater degree, achieved power and influence in our kingdom. Perhaps there is room for one of them to leave a lasting legacy among the Sogdian elites. I shall choose him. Spita minis artesic. Stop. Okay. We need to give them jobs. So you're gonna lose your jobs here in just a moment. Based on the talent. When I look at the office, oh come on, what is this? Oh, you're the disloyal character. And he's my rival. The Oxens hold many positions here. But it's time for a change for some of you. Especially you. You'll do. You got finesse. Now, Governor. But keep in mind, finesse is one thing that's required, but to man the levies, you gotta have a skilled person in martial. And we have this man. You know, he's a bit greedy, but he's also a sea dog. We don't live anywhere near the seas. But he'll do. Just do what you gotta do. Bit even. Oh yeah, we gotta do these two things here. First, build a granary here. Food is something that is often lacking around here. So, 2 granaries here. And what else? Just in order to get ahead of time with things. Slave farm, slave estate in Kashram for future reference. And a farming settlement. Grain, that's the most important. Here. So, touching the Tatar. Our wars have brought us to the doorstep of the Taran Basin, a land with a reputation well known to every person within 1,000 miles. We could send our armies down into the deserts, search for the rich and fertile oases that we've heard so much about. This is going to spend political influence and gold. No, actually you won't. But it'll take you 90 days. That just means you gained a claim to Shul if we were to expand to there. Wouldn't want them to get too powerful now, would it? Different. Silk. After some of the seers went through a ritual to speak to the ancestors, our high priest, Kach, claims that the ancestors have created more freedom to the priests. To convince the masses, several of the priests have used some of their own funds to support the large festivals across Sogdia. Following this charade, it would probably make us more popular amongst our people, though at the expense of our control over the religious elements of our society. We kind of don't need legitimacy nor religious conversions around here. But I will gain some influence. So time to control around on these ridiculous seers. That reminds me. No need for that. Population conversion is something that we ought to be at least concerned, at least not yet. But if we're having food shortages, we'll encourage trade. That's the reason why we're building granaries in the first place. There are many stories of armies that are not properly equipped for the rough terrain of the lands they are marching through, although their scouts and their vanguard are desperately searching for enemy armies. The biggest threat is actually the lack of fresh drinking water. Thankfully for us, we have trusted guides. That will help us navigate through the shifting sands towards the oasis settlements. We shall not make the mistakes for so many others before us have. Contact the steppe traders. Our lands are considered to be on the border of the civilized realm and a wild unknown. Here we are in the middle of the two. The northern steppes are filled with a variety of nomads. There are some who will venture to the periphery to barter with the settled peoples. We should reach out and establish trade connections. So of course, this is going to mean you're going to spend more money and political influence. But there's this thing here. It's going to cost you some manpower because you are sending those people out there to try to establish the steppe trading connections. So you probably want to hold that off for a while. But there is another way. Taiwan are the most numerous people besides us. If we were to have an integrated culture... what is it? Put that back down. Just increase a little bit of happiness. But keep in mind, if you're going to promote these people, it's going to cost you some stability, so you may want to consider this. Divine sacrifice. It'll cost you 50 political influence, so do that for once, and then promote the Taiwan up to there to give them rights. Because we want more manpower. So this will start the integration process, which when complete will give them equal rights to our primary culture and protect them from assimilation. Once started the integration process, it cannot be stopped. While the integration is ongoing, your country will have a following penalty. Minus 20. Oh, that's still gonna... Ugh. Well, you just hope for good advance, alright? And that'll get your stability up. We need that because if you have these peoples, which is a pretty numerous culture here, then you will have increased levy size. As it says earlier, it can only be raised from integrated cultures. That's the important thing here. Hell, you didn't even look at the culture. So, the Taiwan culture is a member of the Bactria culture group like us. They can raise foreign levies. 10% heavy infantry, spearmen, 15% horse archers, 20% light cavalry, 45% light infantry. So, an infantry intensive culture. once integrated, of course. But as I stated before, give me those damn horses. And Bactria is the only one that can be willing to provide it for us. You know, they'll say, oh, they'll lose their capital bonus. No, we need them. Don't you get it? This is something that we're trying to do here. It's for this mission. The Heavenly Horses. We need the grain, which we're building a granary, but we need to import horses. And this will definitely help us out here. And you know, with all this explanation that I did for you people here, I think that'll be enough. I don't want to make this episode too long, as this pretty much gives you the first impression. So in the next episode, we will try to rest, and hopefully don't get involved in any nasty wars, unless we're going to be taking advantage over the Jexartis situation up there, since they haven't really got, you know, most of what's, you know, out there. But that's only if you were to choose this path of our side of the Jexartis River, which again you'll be spending again, but you can at least try to make a little quick war against the Coasmian revolt, occupy those lands, and then they'll be ours, and we would take minimum casualties at the most. But you got to let the aggressive expansion to calm down a little, because that's what's causing all this, and among other things. So we hope you people will return for this new series, which Sogdia has grown, but we got a lot more work to do. We'll see you in the next episode. But until then, so long for now.